How's the HCTV? Good? Ready to roll? All right, so it is 6:01. It's Thursday, January 16th. This is our regular meeting. I call it to order. First thing is to approve minutes from last time, which was January 2nd. So if I could have a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
Any
Got the second something tonight.
yeah, any updates, changes? I think it was, that was our record-setting meeting, right?
It was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6:34, it says we adjourned, so. So all in favor of approving the minutes as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. For set adjust agenda, I feel like I emailed saying I wanted to add something, but now I don't remember what it was. Does anybody remember?
I remember seeing that.
Didn't I? Did I not?
You dreamed it.
I thought I need to add.
No,
I do.
no, no. Yeah.
LVRT.
No, LVRT.
A resolute, I want to add,
Oh, yeah.
I want to add an item to talk about adding a resolution to support the LVRT to the town meeting warning. So let's add that as item 7. No, because that's budget and everything. Let's put it before the budget. Can we do it before the budget as a 6 and bump number 6
Yeah,
down?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be able to pull that up somehow.
I have it.
You have it,
I'll
awesome.
track it down for you while you're going.
Good, it's short.
Yeah.
All right, any other changes or adjustments to the? Nothing from the town manager, town clerk, okay. All in favor of, or could we have a motion to adjust the agenda to add that LVRT resolution?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right, so that's what we're gonna roll with.
So this is what a 3-member board feels like.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, except most towns with a 3-member board don't have anybody over there,
Right.
except for the town clerk maybe, but they don't have a town manager, they wouldn't have a police chief.
Right.
Yeah, it would be sparse. And, yeah. I don't think I would find it very amusing.
Me either.
No.
It's a lot of work.
All right, so first up, town manager's report. Sean Fielder, do you want to tell us what you've been up to?
Sure. Let me get to the right page, everybody. We are continuing discussions with the highway and police unions to get their agreements in place. We should have language in order in this next week so that we can get things in place. This would be for June of, the period of this June, and these are 3-year agreements. So I will report to the select board and executive session some of the details here later tonight. Ongoing meetings for the Yellow Barn project. So everybody is aware, Eric's doing quite a bit on this for the good of the project and to benefit the community. We have we have responded to the Economic Development Administration in regards to one of our grant asks, so we're waiting to hear from them. And there's been a lot of activity in regards to the details of design and continued support from project planners and public-private partners, if you will. I want to remind everybody that we have Cabot committed to the space. They would be taking retail space in what is now the Greens, the Yellow Barn. And Jasper Hill would be moving into the accelerator space. So those folks are committed and willing partners, and that's, we're moving forward there. I want to call the citizens or audience's attention to the fact that we do have a website now. There's a link on the town's website. And I'm just going to read it back now. It'll be in the minutes if anybody needs to track this information down. It's nvda.net/yellow_the word barn. The underscore is a symbol by itself, so I would report that right now.
Can I, just to add to that,
Questions don't count against my time, all right?
that there's, for anyone, the project is still accepting letters of interest for potential new tenants. We do have interest for the other space that's available, but there's still space if people are interested, have an idea.
How much space?
So there's on the main floor of the new building, there's a 3,000 square foot area that has loading dock and, could be manufacturing of some sort. And in the upstairs space, I think it's still, the design is still shifting, but I think it's on the order of 4,000 or 5,000 square foot things that would be useful for office, classroom, light, prototyping or light manufacturing type stuff. So those things are still out there. That's all.
Yeah, and just real quick on the EDA item, this is public information. We actually have it's a $3 million grant request, which is one of the largest for the state of Vermont and probably one of the largest for New England. We've had a pretty favorable response from the EDA, so we've got information in order. There's nothing finalized, but with everybody involved, we put ourselves in a good position. Hopefully we get a favorable indication on this within the next 4 to 6 weeks. Have been working on the Judavine Library Improvement Project, collaborating with folks there at the library. Most recently, took part in a USDA grant funding meeting. Coming off a meeting, some report a couple weeks back, USDA is interested in putting community facilities grant money toward the project, and that's going to be a pretty significant offer to the community, so it's good to have USDA support on that item. Right now, going after additional monies with the state of Vermont for accessibility improvements to the facility, so making good progress there. Obviously getting ready, geared up for town meeting. Everybody here in the town offices at department levels, select board, committee members, assignees, whoever it might be at the town level, getting things geared up for Tuesday, March 3rd, so obviously making progress there. Continuing discussions and planning for some of our 2020 projects that we'll be working on, capital projects here coming up. We're in the middle of blizzard conditions tonight, but all of a sudden spring's here, so we've got quite a bit of good things coming at us this year. So I've been working with Public Works and other departments, getting ready for paving, road work, water and wastewater system improvements, LVRT projects, Yellow Barn project, quite a bit happening for the good of the community. And the last thing I want to report is that we have had we got the clearance from the Drinking Water and Groundwater Protection Division. The construction improvements to the Bridgman Hill Water Storage Reservoir are at a point where it's considered meeting the construction standards. We have done our testing that has been required in collaboration with engineers or folks here at the local level. Tom Fadd and Kenny Lacasse doing a lot on this, other crew members, of course. Administrative support from Casey, Amanda, Alberta, Tanya, it's a lot of different people involved with this. We brought the system back online this Wednesday. There is a report or a note on the town's website. We've also got a notice on Front Porch Forum. We've got a couple of small things to close out to be on a completed punch list, but we were within 14 or 15 days of our target, which was December 31st. So all in all, considering winter started November 1, I think we've done pretty darn well on this. So we don't have our details yet on total final cost. We will be getting that in the near future. And just a reminder, what that final cost comes out, we do know with the state drinking water program, we are in that grant opportunity state. We have a little bit of capital money put aside, of course, and we're going to be getting whatever the final is, including what we put in for our capital that we have been saving for years. We would be getting a 40% grant on the remaining amount. So it's keeping it reasonable in regards to what's the impact for everybody, on your bills moving forward. It's a very reasonable cost for, in my opinion, we've got a reservoir that is good for 75 to 100 years, and that's not an exaggeration on what we've produced there. So that's a good thing. That's all I have.
Just comes to mind that if there's an opportunity to get a grant based on the remainder after we put in our capital, we might want to consider how much capital we're putting in.
That's a correct statement. We can evaluate the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we have, once your construction and you're punched out, then you start to look at your numbers so we can evaluate what's the best move financially.
Right. Yeah.
That's all I have.
Great. Thank you.
5 minutes, all right? No, I'll knock out 2 or 3 for the questions.
So I assume the road foreman
I can give
report
Tom's
is that
report.
he's plowing?
Yeah, and I said in my commentary that we literally have blizzard conditions going on outside right now. So I know the highway crew started at 3 this morning, and Tom had to double down and cover another employee's route because they had a doctor's appointment. So the brief report on behalf of the highway foreman is, I've actually, we've obviously been active on plowing, salting, and sanding activities this past period since January 2nd. As I already reported in my report, Tom and Kenny had been assisting on the Bridgman process. We do have one piece of equipment that's down right now. That's our toolcat, That's our modified Bobcat that we would use on the sidewalks and whatnot.
So that's been down for like 2 weeks
It's
now.
been pushing 2 weeks. That's a correct statement.
I thought it needed
We
one
anticipated getting it back today. Unfortunately, it did not come back today. There's a problem with the exhaust system. We're at the mercy of the repair shop, so it should be
That's too
coming
bad.
very soon.
Yeah, because it looks
So-
like a lot of extra handwork for folks when they see them.
Thank you, because, they're at literally, our crew they've got a bucket of salt for the sidewalks, and they are literally spreading it by hand, and that takes a lot of effort, so I appreciate you acknowledging there's a little extra going on. That's a lot of work. So we're doing our best with the tools we've got.
Right. Right now, some of those tools are hand shovels.
It's the way it used to be, so
Yeah,
somebody will
I
say
know,
that
I
right out of the
know.
gates. That's how we used to
I
do
know,
it.
but we're staffed to do, like, everybody's set up to do, like, a route. One of those routes is the sidewalks, and now I'm seeing somebody driving a skid steer and 2 guys walking in front with shovels. And I know that just takes extra time, so I hope, for everyone's sake, that toolcat comes back.
So that's the highway foreman report.
Sounds good. Thank you. And Aaron Cochran, police report. I know you had emailed us the incident report, so we got a chance to review that. Thank you.
That came up quicker than I expected. I thought Sean was still talking.
The clock is going.
Yeah, December was a busy month, 221 incidents. Crashes, a few crashes, obviously, in December. That's pretty common, not out of the ordinary. For other stuff we've had going on, the new car, I think I told you at the last meeting, is in. If not, it is in. So just working, I just get the stuff stripped out of the car that's getting replaced. They came yesterday to strip stuff out of that. So just got an invoice this afternoon for the new car, and then I'll have to schedule for everything to get put back into that. So that's in process with the new car. Let's see here. Overall incidents, Scott ran some numbers for me. Overall, the incidents were pretty steady throughout the year compared to the previous year. We were 15 more incidents this year than the previous year, so pretty steady across the board, about the same. So
Has that been steady for years?
what's that?
I know rescue calls seem to be going up and up, but it's.
Well, that's going up, but
Fairly level?
not a whole lot. It's pretty steady there, so yeah.
No, but in some years in past.
We've had huge increases.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, but
That's
just
what
not.
Lucian's
in
question
recent-
was. So it wasn't year over year, the calendar year 19 wasn't a significant change over calendar year 18. But in the previous years, we had seen
Real
increases.
significant changes, yeah.
Oh, okay, so it went up and then it's
Yeah.
just stayed there, it hasn't gone back down or anything. Yeah.
Right. Of course, there's all kinds of theories as to why it's that way and so on, but nothing's
Yeah.
proven.
Right.
So,
Oh, okay.
so yeah, so that's where we are with that, so,
Yeah.
fairly busy.
I have one question on the police report that I probably should know the answer to after all these years, but on the police report, there's like more detail, like press release related to automobile incidents only. And is that why?
So, automobile accident, pretty much the whole thing is public record.
Yeah.
Public knowledge with an arrest until there is an actual arraignment date. For the arrest itself, the only thing that's public is the name, date of birth, and what they were arrested for. And that's the only thing that's public prior to arraignment. And usually that all goes in arraignment, sometimes is after press time, so.
But why, like, what, okay, but why issue the more detail on I guess I wasn't wondering why there wasn't more detail on the others. I was wondering why is there more detail on the traffic stuff? Is it mandated or is it just like
No, we just
historical or?
Try to put out, yeah.
Just trying to
I'd
put
say
out
probably
some-
historical is a lot of it.
Okay.
I mean, you put out the operators.
Yeah.
A little brief thing of what happened and.
Yeah.
And so on, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it's just kind of tradition. Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
sure.
Next up is Hardwick Electric Report. We have Mike Sullivan and what's happening across the street.
Okay, it's all been pretty quick too, Mike.
Are you giving me an instruction, a secret instruction?
Nice and loud.
Okay, so year-to-date revenues are looking good. We're 2% over budget. And expenses are running 4% under budget, so that's great news for finance. The solar project up in the pit, the H11, has already completed 5 of the 10 steps for the permitting process. Primarily because we went ahead and took the initiative in the fall to get the wetland delineations and some other things done that would have held us up till late spring, so those can all be processed. So things are going great. Public hearings are done, site visits were all done. Really getting into the feedback and summaries from all the parties, and that'll all land on the PUC's desks, and hopefully we'll be ready to go and ahead of schedule in the spring.
They're planning for construction in the spring or summer?
Online in early fall. So by the time they do all the, there's quite a bit of site work to do in there, and it's a pretty big area they're gonna be working on, so. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the one on Arsenio Avenue, but we're over 3 times the size of that, so
Okay.
it's a big area.
Yeah.
Okay, Wolcott Hydro cranked out about 3 million kilowatt hours this year, or last year. Saved our customers about $200,000. The last load of transformers for the Hardwick Village Circuit upgrade will be in next week, so we'll be finishing that project this winter. Eliminating the old 2400 Delta system, I've talked to you about it before, and the changes we're making actually eliminate 88% of the system losses on that circuit. So the loss improvement almost pays for doing the project. Also, I forgot to tell you at the hydro, the sluice gate, the safety issue with the sluice gate, everybody's aware of that one. Is in final approval. We're just trying to agree on the initial process of putting it into service, because understandably the state doesn't want us to just open up and let years of sediment go down the river. We want to do it scheduled and only during certain flow events until we get it into what we're going to call a routine process, which is going to take about 2 years. But we're just trying to agree on those initial flows of how we're going to start releasing. If you have a question, I can see that.
It's gonna take 2 years to lower the water level in order to replace the sluice gate?
No, sir.
Oh,
No.
okay, I misunderstood.
Once the gate's all replaced,
Oh,
and now we have this, all the silt that's been sitting there
Yeah.
since 1972.
yeah,
The state doesn't want us to just release that and affect all the aquatic habitat, which I totally understand.
yeah,
So we're trying to agree on what process we're gonna use. So the first time we open it, we're not just gonna open it and let her go, right? That's, so
It's
how,
built up over the top of the.
the gate is 50 feet down.
So there's 50 feet of silt that potentially
Yes.
could be flowing out eventually, yeah, okay.
so
Yes.
how are you gonna replace it without, well, the silt's still there?
We're gonna excavate enough to take the gate out, which isn't, you don't need that much, and slide a new one in.
Okay. I'm just
So
not
it's-
visualizing it. I
Yeah,
guess.
so it's probably gonna be done with what's called an airlift. So divers go down, and you have a compressor system with a hose system that goes to shore, and they suck out enough sediment and debris and whatever, just to clear the area. We're not trying to clear out the impoundment.
Yeah.
Just move enough to get this thing up and out of here, rebuild it, replace it, whatever we need to, because we don't know, we haven't seen it since 1972. We don't know what conditions it's in or anything.
But there is a time.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. I was 4, so.
So during that time though, you block off the hole so that all the water doesn't go out the,
No, what we do is build 2 basically hay bale dams on each side of the work project area. Let the hydro run as it does, which is down at the other
Yeah,
end of the
yeah.
dam, and just try and control any flow of water in the work area. We don't care if there's water there, we just don't want it flowing out into the river. Because while we're doing our work, we're gonna be stirring stuff up.
yeah,
So that was the hay bales alleviated their concerns with that.
okay.
So basically, it's gonna be 2 rows of like 20 round hay bales from the dam out into the waterway to keep anything we do contained.
And then, so the 2-year thing is about, so after you replace it, you have to, you're opening it sometimes?
Yeah, so there's 2 trout fish cycles you have to be aware of.
Okay,
One's in the spring, one's in the fall. So you can't be releasing, piles of silt when they're trying to spawn.
Yeah.
So we're okay with that. And because of those, and because of the dry times in between those, that we can't really do anything because there's no water, it's very limited where you can really start doing stuff to clear things out. So it's gonna take 2 years to get those limited cycles when we can do something, to get us where we can do it whenever we want.
so in effect, you're gonna use the new operational sluice gate to help drain the silt that's built up in the dam.
In a controlled
But it's In
manner.
a controlled manner over
Yes.
a number of years.
Yes. And once we get to that point,
Yeah.
then we'll be able to open it however we want. Because the silt will not be there like it is now.
How much silt is there? Give me something I can visualize. How many cubic?
The
yards?
impoundment is probably 200 feet by 200 feet, and at deepest 50 feet to 0 of silt. So if I had a
That's a
calculator, I
lot.
could whip that out. Oh, it's a lot, yeah.
And is it really?
But I mean, a river is a huge dirt moving machine. That's what it
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
And that's what it is, it's mostly just silt, not
Yeah.
a lot of rocks, so dead tree branches and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some logs we'll have to deal with in there, trees and stuff, but we do that, so.
And is it helpful for your operations to have the sluice gate operational?
Well, the issue with the sluice gate is that if your dam is in imminent danger, the sluice gate is your emergency button.
Right, your escape valve.
So you open that up, let the pressure off the dam.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not gonna kill anybody here, now we have it
But
under
you can't
control.
do that right now.
Right now, we can't do that.
Right. But
You're in-
haven't been able to for a number of years.
For a long time.
So
Which
we're
is
gonna
why-
remedy it.
Well, and the issue historically was that the Public Utility Commission, who has jurisdiction over the dam, says, go do this project, fix that sluice gate. And the state agencies are saying, you're never gonna operate that gate. Okay, so I got everybody in a room in Montpelier and I said, you're telling me this, you're telling me that. I'm not gonna go spend that money for my ratepayers and have something you're not gonna let me use. So you guys figure it out. We've gotten there, we're there, so.
And then the other dam that was reported on recently is East Long Pond.
Yeah,
And is there a story there that you can share at this point, or?
any question you got, go for it, what do you wanna know?
Well, I mean, having only read something in an article, I know that, in an article that even I found some errors in. I don't really know, and not knowing that much, so I just don't know, like, can you give us like the brief synopsis of what the deal
Sure.
is?
So, East Long Pond Dam.
Is it
was-
earthen dam?
It's stone and earth. yeah.
Okay.
And some concrete, there's a wing wall of concrete out there.
Okay,
Yeah, so it was part of the Woodbury granite operations in the early 1900s and became part of Peoples Hydro and Electric Corporation in the state of Vermont, which later became Green Mountain Power. And Peoples Hydro, then Green Mountain Power, eventually became Hardwick Electric property. Because GMP was very interested in all of it when they were serving Woodbury Granite Company, this huge customer. And when they left in about 1917, GMP really didn't want to have this island of service with this little community when they were trying to focus in Burlington, Montpelier, and Point South. So that's how Hardwick Electric acquired those properties. So the dam used to be used as part of the hydroelectric facilities and is, 100 years old. In the years that I've been here, 7, 8 years now, there's been no change in its situation. I go out every year with the safety engineers. We do a full inspection on all our dams, including that dam. And, any little stuff that they say, well, these trees should really go, because trees are very detrimental to a dam. You don't want them on or near your dam. These should go, so we'll take care of that. Or, the stones in the spillway, some have been washed down. Let's get that filled back in. We'll take care of all that routine maintenance stuff. But as far as trying to do some major overhaul of a dam that is not really doing anything for our ratepayers, those are costs we just can't even consider. And you can't even get a vehicle or a piece of equipment out there. There's a trail that you can walk out. There's no, when we have to put rocks back in the spillway, we get a truck as close as we can, we carry them down in there. It's crazy. But the dam is not in any imminent danger. Yes, it's old. Yes, if somebody wanted to make it pretty and new, you can. But it's not going to fall over anytime soon. And if it was, we would probably open the sluice gate and drain the lake and say, here you go, state of Vermont, if you want to fix this, go ahead.
Thank you.
I don't know if that's helpful or not, but
It
that's
is,
kind of
yeah,
where it's at.
I think that's helpful.
I think it was portrayed in that article and another article in another paper that it was this, detrimental thing that's going to create a huge disaster, and that's just not the case.
I think it was, they were saying it was designated high hazard dam because it had the potential, but they weren't saying that it was imminent, it was just that there are a lot of people downstream, I think, is that how the high hazard dam is?
Well, yes and no. So that one's a high hazard dam, but part of the high hazard includes imminent loss of life in a breach of the dam. So in the spillway, down to the next body of water at Nichols Pond, there's 0 homes, 0 roads. There's some trails, woods trails out there. So I actually got into quite a heated debate with the state about this, and I said, okay, so you have our dam here in this body of water classified as a high hazard, but Crystal Lake up in Barton has a spillway that goes right into the village. The first building is the graded school, followed by everything else in the village. That dam is 3 times, the water is 3 times the volume of what we're talking about, and that's a low hazard dam. Guess why? The state owns it. So there's a lot of twists in there that really get my goat. I don't think the system is set up fairly or accurately, but that's not really a fight worth fighting. What are you going to gain? So.
And I was wondering, in the event of catastrophic failure, the East Long Pond Dam, and then the water flows down to Nichols. The Nichols Dam is new and seems to be designed for water to overtop it anyway, right?
Nichols is new, and so is Macville.
Right.
Yeah, but that's, getting back to your question about the high hazard, that's how it gets classified as high hazard, because it's called dams in series.
Yeah.
Well, if this one hits this one and that one fails, well, there's a lot of what ifs, and if they're designed to handle what's behind it, like you just said, well, why can't we fix this classification and get it right?
Yeah.
So,
No,
any more on that guy?
No, that was kind of what I wanted to hear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Purchase power, which is our, over half of our $7 million budget, is running 2% under budget. And we've had 96% coverage in 2019, so we've only had 4% playing in the market, which is excellent. Hey, we finally got our 2018 audit completed. As you may or may not remember, our auditor passed away and left us in quite a pickle. But we did get it done, so we're back on track. In December, we made the final payment on the $2 million 1989 bond, so we got rid of a big chunk of debt with that. Yeehaw. We have some new renewable energy standard rebates that we've entered into via VEPSA with all our other municipal electric entities that are new as of the first of this year. So for example, we have EV rebates of $1,000 plus an additional $400 if you're income eligible. They've actually opened up new items with pre-owned electric vehicles. You can get a $500 rebate on a pre-owned. Heat pump water heaters are up to $600. There's a whole list of new items on there, and if you click through us or just go to VEPSA's website, which is our joint action entity, all that stuff is on there.
But there is information on the Hardwick Electric website as well?
Yeah, you can click through and go to VEPSA.
And it says, is there something to lead you there saying like
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
rebates, go here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I had. You kind of got me off track there.
Yeah, tried.
I think I'm good. I took more than 2 minutes, so.
Your timer was up.
Was I done? Thank you.
If you get-
Anything else?
I asked a lot of questions, but did anybody else?
That's good. Yeah. Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Knows
Yeah.
what?
And yeah, I know you guys have been in communication about our yellow barn thing, so.
Yeah.
Good too. Yeah. Awesome, thank you. Next up, item number 1, Hazen Union Science Department, Greg Hemmeth is here to talk about a request to post ecology signs at various locations in the village. Do you want to just give us, we had a synopsis, but can you give us a quick synopsis and we have a short discussion?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Greg Hemmeth, 7th grade science teacher, and we have a environmental project going on with the 7th grade. It's, you got some of the background, but it's going to be coming together in the spring with a celebration of some of our initiatives of student work. Probably it's going to be on the school grounds, but it is we want to engage the community in the school project. The earth is calling, how do we respond is our essential question. So the technicality here is nothing major compared to the electric department and other things I've heard. My proposal is one of the ways to get the community involved would be to have these signs attached to the walk bridge or the black iron fencing along the sidewalk there across Main Street, and they could be like zip tied to it, something pretty secure. And this it's going to have a QR code here. This topic here is on riparian zone management. So we're teaching the kids about the riparian ecosystem. And so we have a QR code down here, and the idea of getting the community involved in this essential question would be they would scan the QR code and they would be directed to a survey, which there's going to be perhaps up to 40. I don't think there's going to be 40 signs, more like 30 signs if we're lucky. And that QR code in the survey will ask them to make a pledge. And so they would make a, kind of like a ethical pledge to not cut trees near the river. It could be one, it's a pretty broad view of the environment. And it's not just on water like we intended. I think it could be with litter, the importance problems of plastic pollution on our sidewalks as we chop that stuff all up, gets in our water supply, gets into our food supply, anything like that. So they could even take a simple pledge like, well, I'll do better with my littering. So to do a pledge there. Planting trees, different things like that. So I was asking for the select board's permission to attach these signs as a display. I call it a walking tour, environmental walking tour. And people would hopefully take notice of them, of the artwork. This is done by Wonder Arts, the laser engraving. And we hope to get the public involved with this aspect of the project.
If you scan the QR code, it takes, I don't understand QR codes. I guess I'll start with that. Explain to me what those things are and what happens if you activate them.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about them either, but it's kind of like clicking on a link. Click on a link and it takes you to a site.
A
So
link is hypertext.
Hyperlink within.
Is this a hyperlink?
Like Doug can answer.
Doug is,
Yeah. You basically, you point your phone camera at a QR code. Most phones work this way at least. You point your phone camera at a QR code, it will automatically open up the website on your phone. So you see like,
you do it with your camera,
On your
not
phone.
just,
Yeah.
not just the front phone.
right, you just point your phone at it. It's like a barcode basically. It's a new age barcode. You point your phone camera at it and it'll put a notification there. Do you want to open this link? And you tell it yes, and it'll open the link in your phone's web browser.
Okay, so where's the server that this is opening up?
In the so-called cloud.
You
So,
know, who controls it?
well,
Who's collecting the information about the people whose phones are opening this link?
it's going to be a Google, like a Google survey.
So Google is.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Is that part of a larger project or something you're putting together specifically for this?
Well, he mentions Creative School Initiative of Montpelier, which doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, that's one of our partnerships, and that was, we had a workshop over the summer, and it was about engaging students with creativity.
Is this
Yeah.
part of the Montpelier school system? Is this
No.
a state agency? What is Creative School Initiative of Montpelier? Is it a private organization?
I think they're a nonprofit, like, they've written some
Okay.
grants and established themselves as a nonprofit. They work with different schools in the state, all the way from Brattleboro to Hazen and stuff. So, but they're just helping us with the education. They have nothing to do with this. No. This is a Hazen project. We're going to use Google as we often do, right? And so as secure as Google is, I guess, this is going to be that secure. We're not asking for any personal information or anything.
I just read through this and had lots of questions, starting with, oh yeah, I don't understand QR codes and, who is this Creative School Initiative Montpelier group and which black iron fence? And you've done a very good job of answering most of them. And
Okay.
the ones that you didn't, I raised.
I probably didn't even have to put in the Creative Schools Initiative.
incidental.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went to one thing at Hazen with them, and my impression was that this is a collaboration between several Hazen teachers where they're trying to have a project that kind of extends beyond like a normal class to get kids engaged in exploring certain questions, and they've chosen, in this case, this is a water quality issue, and so kids can engage in that in a lot of different ways, right?
Yeah. One thing we're working with the Creative Schools Initiative is that we are having one of their artists come to the school, and the initiative, or that that part of the project is they're going to build luminaries, so lanterns. And these lanterns are going to be part of the celebration of our work with the environment. So this is one of the things they've helped us with, connected us with an artist who will help the students build these luminaries and add to the celebration.
So I think it's a cool thing to have Hazen student work, not only on display downtown, but like as something that people can actively participate and engage in.
Right. Interactive with the community.
Yeah, and you can, I mean, as far as the QR code, you can do that, not do that, ignore it, it's on there in the bottom
Right.
left. Or you can just read the thing and look at the art, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Read the next one.
Right.
How long will they be out there? You may have said that and I missed it.
Yeah, I'm thinking, when the weather gets a little more cooperative for, this kind of outdoor thing, so April to May.
Or just 2 months?
Yeah, like hopefully at the beginning of April to May. I mean, that's when we'll in the celebration, I hope to share some of the community pledges, like read them off as one of our celebrations of what we're thinking about and what we intend to do.
But you'll go and take them down and for your celebration, you'll,
Yeah,
good, okay.
yeah.
So you have, I think you said there's up to 40 of them, and, but they're not just gonna be down there, they're gonna be other places too? Is that what you said? Or they'll all be down there?
I'm thinking it's going to be part of the walking tour along the sidewalk. Maybe it's going to go in that little park or that little relaxation area there. But, I don't want to just like tack them up on trees or anything like that. So I'm thinking conveniently zip tying them onto the walk bridge and onto that, that black iron fencing. Is there any other recommendations that I could put them elsewhere, or?
No, I thought you mentioned that somewhere in your talk, but apparently I misheard it. So there'll be 30 or 40 of them right in that little area.
Yeah.
And the zip ties will be plastic?
Well,
And will they end up in the
Lucian,
river?
is there anything he should worry about with tying them onto the fence?
I mean, we could use other things. It could be, zip ties are very convenient. It
Yeah,
could be
right.
black
And they're not gonna hurt the
iron,
fence?
that wire stuff that rusts and everything like that, but.
Tie them on straight? But yeah, so I made the fence down there, so that's why she's bringing this up, so.
Lucian's fence.
But a zip tie shouldn't hurt it, string shouldn't hurt it. The pro would use a metal fastening on it because it could scrape it. The finish is
Yeah.
already a little iffy on it at the moment.
Yeah, the wire probably would be good. Zip ties, it's plastic, you're right.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't end up in the river sometime. Right. You can use copper wire,
Yeah.
pretty soft.
Of course, that's,
Twisty.
I mean, it's all the same.
All the same. Okay.
It's gonna scrape it.
Yeah. Nothing is entirely without impact, is that good?
Oh, yeah. I don't know, copper, plastic is higher.
Impact on the earth? you
Right.
mean? Yeah, right, I don't know either. That's a good
Would
point.
How
equivalent
about
of that.
hybrid one?
Zip ties and bale
Bale and twine.
Bale and twine.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, so in order to have our blessing, does somebody wanna make a motion that we're good with the plan?
I move that we support this plan to do this project.
I second it.
All right, any more discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is everybody, so motion carries. Thank you for bringing this to us. I mean, I think in addition to, it's good to, you're following all the steps and asking for permission and everything, but it also generates a little more publicity because even though we don't have many people here physically, we do have people watching.
Oh, we do. This is
It's televised live.
Yeah.
You can-
Live on
yeah.
camera. Repeated multiple
repeated.
times over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
All right,
All right, well, thanks very much.
thanks, Greg.
Drive safe, Greg.
Sure will.
Have a good night.
All right, next item is, has to do with the Yellow Barn and the VCDP grant that we were awarded. We have a $900,000 grant from VCDP, and they need us to, there are two parts to this. So there's the VCDP stuff. They have a couple pieces of paperwork that we can talk about in more detail, but they believe they're largely saying that the town is going to manage the funds responsibly and that the town has fair labor practices and things like that. And then the second part of this is also for the Yellow Barn project is to, we need to execute a lease on a bit of the rail trail right-of-way, or the railroad right-of-way, in order to, there's the future parking swings back where the shed behind the building is now, and that's gonna impinge on, or get close to the trail, and so we would need to lease that little strip. So let's tackle these one at a time. Number one is the appropriate paperwork for the VCDP grant application.
I think there should also be there should be a financial, shouldn't there?
It's the resolution, designated public authority agency for NBDA, that one.
Is that in this packet?
Where am I?
Oh, it's a second. Okay,
Budget.
thank you. Yeah, okay,
We're at the
thanks,
budget.
Casey. Sorry, I was just getting my pages out of order. So we do have two items from
Yeah, we have the resolution.
NVDA.
So,
Thanks.
can the motion maybe be related to the name of the forms that you have to sign?
Yeah, definitely, we'll do two. So I forgot, there's also this one that
Yes.
basically saying NVDA is gonna do some of the work for us.
Yes, that's the resolution to designate a public agency, which is the MBDA.
And
And then the other
and the
ones-
next one's the municipal policies.
Right, just saying we're equal opportunity employer and
Yeah,
do all of those policy.
Drug-free
ethics,
workplace.
Yes, those things.
Yeah.
Certifying those.
And all that stuff, I think we talked to Sean about all that stuff's already in place that we have, all that stuff, so.
yeah, in fact, it would be somewhat troubling if we didn't have those things in
Right.
place, right?
Right.
Yeah, so but the first thing, I guess, so let's do these one at a time. So the first thing is a resolution for us to adopt that is basically saying that we're gonna authorize NVDA to do some stuff for us. And the deal there, I can read it, but the deal is that NVDA as our local development agency has done a lot of the work for us on this project, on a lot of other projects, and we kind of rely on them for a lot of grant-related grant writing, grant administration. In this case, Allison Lowe is gonna actually be doing a fair amount of work for us. So it's great, it takes some of the workload off the town offices. So I'm just gonna read it out. The resolution is whereas the town of Hardwick has the authority under section 102 of Title I of the Housing Community Development Program Act of 1974 as amended to designate one or more public agencies to undertake activities assisted under that title. Now therefore be it resolved as follows, that the legislative body of this municipality authorize the chief executive officer, or town manager in our case, to designate the Northeastern Vermont Development Association, that said public agency undertake the following activities: grant administration, procurement assistance, documentation of compliance with Davis-Bacon and related record keeping, correspondence and reporting related to the construction of the Hardwick Yellow Barn Business Accelerator and Corporate Campus. And that the chief executive officer, town manager, is hereby authorized on behalf of the municipality to enter into and contract with the said public agency, the NVDA, for the performance of said activities. So that's the resolution. I would entertain a motion to adopt that.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Thank you. So, any questions on that one form, which is, basically saying we designate Sean to, contract with NVDA to do those duties?
So, did you say something that triggered this form now? 'Cause you've
Yeah,
been working
yeah.
with them for a long time.
Yeah, we have, so this is, the NVDA who awarded us, the grant award was $900,000 for this project. They said, we need you to return forms PM4, which is this one. And what's the MP1 is the other one.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I'm not sure, that's a good question, because we're working with them anyway, in
Kind of doing
essentially this
stuff anyway,
capacity.
Yeah, already.
Exactly. So we're bumping into this generally in this project where, each of the grant funders has, we want, they're saying, we want our form, we want these things in this manner, please provide them. Even though, well, I don't know, we're kind of already doing that.
So we have some kind of agreement with them already, because they're our regional planning commission, development corporation, selection, all that fits together, but,
Yep.
so this is what formalizing with the larger, formalizing that agreement or changing that agreement somehow?
My understanding
offer.
is that they, the NVDA the VCDP wants it on their form, but what do you,
That's what I was just gonna say. So, NVDA, to answer Lucian's question, comment, they are our regional planning authority, so we work with them ongoing on various activities. Now we're into the detail of, we've been putting the Vermont Community Program Development Grant application out. Now we have the notification, we're gonna receive the grant. Because of the amount of money involved, VCDP wants to codify, okay, you're working with NVDA, the Northeast Vermont Development Association. All right, we gotta just make sure that the select board agrees with that tactic, and we get it authorized in the form of a motion, and you sign off on this form.
Right. So I guess the other thing, so basically it's tricky because it's a lot more money involved, yeah, maybe, that's what it sounds like?
yeah, because there's this grant.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if we
We're
do
gonna have
this
to do
again
this
with
for
the
other
library.
ones.
Oh, do.
The
yeah.
library is going to the same group
Mm-hmm.
and asking for a grant.
And
And
I'm,
they're probably they're gonna say, could you please provide us with Form PM4?
Oh, okay. And we'll
Because
say you've
they
got it
have-
already.
And we'll say, yeah, we'll do it again,
they have to go back to their funders.
Right.
You know, they're.
which
they're-
is HUD in this case.
Yeah, that they're pretty much taking care of their own protection by making us sign all these forms, so they can just pass it on to HUD and say, you know, these people are following all the specifications that you require.
But you're right, it's a bit redundant because we use them we use
Yeah.
NVDA to do our town plan.
But the
and-
clarifying point there, Eric, is we don't use them, or we have not used them to help manage and oversee and process everything associated with a Vermont Community Development Program grant. That's the
Right.
difference.
But
Oh, okay.
But I bet we get the same form again, because this is specifically for the Yellow Barn project, so when it's specifically for the library,
It's gonna be the same
assuming
form.
that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
successful grant ask, I
Right.
assume we'll see this very form again.
So what's the, it's sort of, I guess it seems like there's, it's a little vague on laying out who's doing what for this, and I guess I'm just wondering, there's grant administration, procurement, I mean, some of this stuff is things that I've never done or don't really understand entirely, but, I guess I'm not sure what our role is in this and where we meet up, kind of, where their role is and where our role is. So it just seems kind of broad, so I don't know if there's
Yeah.
some understanding of that.
So
I
there's,
think the purpose is just to give them sort of permission to work on the project.
Right.
And do some of those aspects of
but
it
some
along
of
the
this,
way.
particularly because it deals with this grant, so the grant is to the town of Hardwick.
Right.
And so if we have this understanding that we like, rather than putting the grant administration, the procurement and everything on the town manager's office, NVDA has said, we can do those things, we do them, it's routine for them.
Right.
So we said, great, but now, the Vermont Community Development Program wants to say that the select board's okay, they want to see that the select board's okay with that
Right.
move.
Right.
And it is things like, so like procurement, like following procurement, rule or whatever your procurement procedure is to like hire people.
Right,
You have to
right.
get bids or whatever you have to do. Right. And like in this case, we would be working with Allison Lowe, she would be, you know, doing the grant administration, the procurement assistance, documentation. You know, some of this stuff is, it's not very glorious.
Right, right. Okay, so it's pretty much administrative.
I would say it's entirely administrative.
Yeah.
For the good of the conversation, my office, on the activities noted here, I wouldn't want somebody to perceive that we're handing them the reins and we're not involved anymore. We're regularly communicating on these things. So on this application, as an example, Allison and I are collaborating on the narratives. I'm reviewing the final, and she's saying, if you're good with this, sign it. Right? So just so you understand, it's not just, okay, take this and report to us in the next quarter. You know, we're regularly keeping it, but she's doing the lion's share of tracking, if you will.
Okay.
And when we get to a point where we need to hire, somebody to do something and we need to go through a procurement process, we can say, Allison, can you, whatever you need to do. We need to advertise this in this many papers for this much time, and we need to get this many bids, and then we can choose somebody.
Right, right. Okay.
And then,
Sort of the way VLCT helped us find Sean.
yeah,
Right.
right, you're kind of contracting with them.
Yeah.
And is there a fee associated with this? An
There
additional fee?
is, in a way.
Uh-huh.
So we, at town meeting, we allocate, I think, something like 3,000 or
It's less
3,500
than that.
bucks.
It's less than that.
It's less than that,
2,800. Yeah.
for which we're getting hundreds and hundreds of hours of work.
Okay, so there's no additional, you're saying we're
No.
gonna contract with them, I don't know if there are additional fees.
No,
but
they
there's
don't
an
have, there's
additional-
no additional administrative for them to
No,
be
their
providing
mission
this
is to
assistance.
serve the towns in our region, and every town in the region is asked to contribute proportional to population, I think.
That's correct.
Not proportion to use. Because if we had to contribute according to how much we use them, it would be a little bit different, I think.
Okay.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. We've had some discussion. Is there more discussion? All in favor of adopting the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So, oh, thank you. So moving on to the next form that BCDP would like, form number MP1. So I haven't, do they want the whole board to sign this too, or can, or?
Yes,
Yeah,
set up
okay.
the whole board.
You gonna read it?
No, I am not.
You could read the sections, though.
Yeah, I can
The
read.
bold sections.
All right, so this is generally saying that the village of
The
this should be the
town.
town, has adopted the following policies and codes. Equal employment opportunity policy, fair housing policy, and there are lots of bullet points under each of these. Excessive use of excessive force policy.
Ooh, there's one.
There's one. Policy on the use of VCDP funds for federal lobbying. This is the Byrd Anti-Lobbying Amendment. The Code of Ethics for Administration of Vermont Community Development Program. The Drug-Free Workplace Act of 1988. The Subrecipient Oversight Monitoring Policy required by uniform guidance. The whistleblower protections, that's timely, and adoption. So there are some things in here that are specific to NVDA.
Do we have an use of excessive force policy? I mean, I think we're saying that we have these policies already, except one of them said that if we don't have one, then we hereby adopt it, I think. But I think we already have, I think it's the drug
Yeah.
use one.
Yep.
So I guess that's what I was wondering, do we actually have that already? The use of excessive force
Policies
policy?
and codes.
Do we have that, Aaron? Do we have excessive force policy in our policies? Use of excessive.
I wouldn't really call it that. We have a force policy, but it's steps of force to take.
Yeah,
Excessive force is
it addresses us
illegal,
sideways.
so we don't really have a
You don't use
policy for that.
You don't use it?
Once it comes to that point,
It's worded differently.
so I wouldn't, yeah.
It's
I
worded
wouldn't-
differently.
Yeah, it's definitely, yeah, I wouldn't call it, consider it an
That was
excessive
what I was thinking
use of
when I
force
looked at it.
policy. It's a force policy, and excessive force is an investigation which could result in criminal charges, so it's not.
Not allowed.
I believe they're talking about administrative duties, not police duties.
Yeah, I can't imagine why they would, because
No,
It
I'm
says
not-
by law enforcement agencies.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm not going down there to pound nails.
No. I think
Yes, as
We-
far as a use of
we
force
have,
policy,
we have a use of force policy.
Well, I think as read, the municipality prohibits the use of excessive force, and it prohibits its law enforcement agencies from physically barring entrance or exit to a facility that's subject to a nonviolent civil rights demonstration that I think we have it in practice and under other names without being called an excessive force policy.
I mean, I'm not concerned about this issue at the moment, but I just, like, I mean, maybe I'm getting too nitpicky, maybe it doesn't matter. We're certifying that we have this policy that I'm asking, do we have this policy indeed?
So here's
Well,
the
we're
thing,
certifying
if we
it,
went
is it
through
not?
this section by section, we do not align with what we have word for word. So it's dead in the water if we want to approach it that way.
Okay.
Right, because.
Well, let's not go through all the.
That's my point.
Okay, so we just
may not be
sign
Well, no,
this
I don't know,
one.
I'm not,
I
I'm not
think-
sure what the
It meets
best
bullet
tactic
points,
is,
But it
but
may not be called the same.
Right.
Right.
Well, like
But it meets the bullet
The
points,
spirit of
point.
the,
It's one of those things where when you see it on the computer and it says, read these 600 pages of terms and conditions, you just go to the bottom and click the thing and go for it.
I agree.
So, yeah, I read it.
Okay,
We're at the bottom right now, checking the box.
sign away your everything.
it's like, oh, you're everything, yes.
All right, let's do it then.
I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
I don't think it's,
I
don't think we'll go to jail for it. For
No,
signing it.
but, I don't know, it just always seems like we're just signing on that bottom line and then where does it stop, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems crazy. So,
it is,
but it's what everybody does these days, so, good.
it is. So could we have a motion to adopt,
I move we
sorry,
adopt.
Form MP1.
MP1,
Second?
or sign, or. check the
Any
box.
more discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any
I'll abstain.
abstaining because of the
But I-
The aforementioned
I'm sure I understand this
issues.
whole thing.
Okay,
Who was the second, Danny?
Danny,
No,
I was.
you were second? Danny's
Yeah,
motion,
Danny,
Wiz
I'll-
a second.
Thank you.
So then the other, thank you guys. So then the next thing is leasing from V-Trans. So I don't know if everybody read the emails, but, or if they went to everybody, but at least I saw an email where Sean ran it by Bill Davies, who replied, there are a couple things about this that I wish were slightly different, but he said, I've tried to get them adjusted before, and the state of Vermont.
Unsuccessfully.
Exactly. The state of Vermont likes it this way, and this is what you're gonna get if you wanna lease the land, is this.
And Mitch,
like-
what is, what,
Okay, so this is I believe, it's a long, narrow piece. It's like 15 by.
where, Yellow Barn?
yeah, Yellow Barn. It's
Kinda
where
the
the
shed is.
It's where the
behind
pole
yellow
barn is now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it says, doesn't it say?
Well, it says.
There's an
it gives us-
exhibit.
17 feet wide by 215 feet
Right.
long. It's a long, narrow strip, and it's gonna allow for a little parking
Yep.
to get closer to the rail bed in that area. Also, coincidentally or not, allows, that project access to the rail trail a little better if the project builds a little closer to, if
Yeah.
it's gonna join. a
No,
little-
no, I thought that's what it was, but.
Yeah, but we do have to, since we're
Danny,
ta-
there's a picture.
and there's a picture.
Oh, I
Does
didn't
it show
I
up?
didn't get a picture, I didn't get to the picture.
Page 12 of 14.
Oh, yeah, because this goes on and on and on.
What by God, there's a picture. Still confused.
Yeah,
Well, because I know like Vermont Valley leases, I mean, that's common, we lease over here.
we lease over here, and, the health center leases over
They
there.
want their $475 a
They,
year.
yeah, they didn't used to want
They
money.
didn't used to want any, now it's,
Now they want money.
that'd be Ludwig.
Yeah, but this isn't anymore, is it?
Oh, I don't know if he's still there or not.
Is it
Yes.
Ludwig?
Yeah.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yeah.
For some reason I thought. All right, so anyway, and the cost to the town is $475 a year. It's a 5-year lease with, how many renewals? 5?
4 additional.
4 additional. And there also has to be recorded with Alberta, so there's some fees associated with that, just one-time fees. So it's, you know, it's fairly cheap rent, but it is rent.
It'll all be part of the Yellow Barn expense anyway.
It'll be part of our expense right now.
Right.
But we're gonna get money back from that project, so
Yeah.
ultimately, we're in the good,
Right.
but we're the owner,
My
so,
point was, is that it's not costing the taxpayer, it's not going in the long run.
no. No, but this year, it's costing, it will actually cost $500 or whatever. But it's coming back at us.
Can't pick up cans in the wintertime, I'll tell you.
No, that's in the spring, actually.
All right, so,
Taxes are high. You want-
who invited you to this meeting? All right.
Who made you come to this meeting?
Could I have a motion to,
There's 2 items there.
oh, there are 2?
There's a memorandum of lease on the actual lease agreement.
Oh, my God. Sorry, oh my goodness, I should not.
We need, I move that we sign the memorandum of lease between the State of Agency of Transportation, Town of Hardwick.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Danny?
I move that we sign the lease between the Agency of Transportation and the town for the same parcel.
Second?
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay.
That's a lot of stuff, really.
Yeah,
You got the form, you got, how many forms we got here?
That's the memorandum of lease.
What we must have adjusted the agenda.
There's the lease.
There's an additional
Item number
Item.
6 for an LVRT.
between 6 and 7.
I ain't got 7,
Just
what
remember
happened to
different.
3 and 4? 'Cause we were on the Yellow Barn and then we went to,
No, we're on 2, aren't we?
2.
Yeah, this one I-
It all came under 2.
oh,
Because
okay,
Alberta's
yeah.
number 3.
Alberta's number 3. You could start when we're
Bam.
signing stuff.
I can
You
start?
like?
Okay, perfect.
Please.
Okay, so I'm gonna start this with our second class licenses tonight. So we have 2 second class licenses. One is for the Hardwick Quick Stop and Deli, and the other one is for Buffalo Mountain Co-op. I have had no reports of any issues with either one of them in this
Okay.
last year, and anything for them. So
Okay.
if I can get a motion to approve second class licenses for them,
Yeah.
please.
So moved?
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right,
Motion carries.
I'm gonna just set them up over here and have you sign them on your way out, because I've got a bunch, so.
Oh, okay. Next.
The second thing tonight is, so I actually have a first and third and outdoor consumption permit, all for the American Legion Post number 7.
Wow. What's third? What's
1,
third?
3, and
Oh,
consumption.
yep, a first class, a third class, and an outdoor
What's
consumption
third
permit.
class?
So that's a.
what is it? I'm sorry, I'm being foolish. What's the third?
Well, so it says, third class club license to sell spirituous liquors.
Spiritus.
Spirituous liquors is what the third
A
class.
club.
Yep,
So club because like Positive Pie sells spirits, but
right, but they
They're not a
apparently,
club.
they're not a club, so
So it's for a
it's a
club.
different.
Probably has something to do with the nonprofit.
I bet the
That is-
cost of the
I
license.
bet.
That is probably the cost, probably the cost of the license for it, yeah.
And this is what they've had already,
Yes,
so we're
yeah,
renewing.
for years and
I
years
bet
and
it's
years,
something
yeah.
to do with nonprofit.
All right.
So if I can have a motion
Yeah.
to approve the,
So
oh,
moved.
that, I should probably say we haven't had any problems with them, right?
No.
Okay, good, we're good there. So if I can have a motion to approve the first, third, and outdoor consumption permits for, American Legion Post number 7, please?
You already have the motion.
Second?
It's a one-party summary.
Right, do they list that, just for curiosity, the outdoor consumption, is that?
Yes, they do, they have to apply for a
it could be
separate
vet-
permit for that one party that they
for the
throw.
vet.
Yep,
This is for the state,
yep, this is
So
all for the
moved.
state, so.
or did I move it?
You already moved it, Wiz second.
vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion carries.
Awesome.
Next one?
Really, it's that easy?
Next one's me again. So I got all of the warning paperwork from Paul Giuliani regarding the bond vote for the, fire truck.
Yeah.
The only question that I had, which I filled it in, but if it's not going to, if the date isn't going to work for anybody, we can change it and I can run down and reprint it, would be for the, hearing that we have to hold no more than 10 days before the actual bond vote. So I had put that in to be held Thursday, February 27th at 6 PM. Does that work for you guys? It's a very short meeting.
Sounds like a good time.
Huh?
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah. It'll be a very
Oh,
short meeting.
We can't do it the 20th because of the 10 days.
Right. Yep, that's why we couldn't do it
It'll
at
make
our
much
meeting.
easy.
Probably won't have set up many extra chairs anyways.
No. I'll have Tommy be here with whatever he needs in case somebody has questions, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And you said that's gonna be the bond information and pre-town meeting?
I said we
Or
can do both that
can we
night
do
if you would
that?
prefer.
Oh, we could, while we're here, we
Super.
can do a pre-town meeting
Yeah.
run through.
Yep.
Those are
Okay.
exciting.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Can we
they've
skip the
drawn lots
20th?
of crowds.
That's a great question, actually. Should we skip the 20th and
Skip the
go to
20th.
the 27th?
Yeah.
How does that work for your office?
So then we do the informational meeting at 5:30 then, and followed by the regular meeting?
Which information?
Yeah,
Like I'm saying, the
Oh, that's
bond at
5:30.
5:30 and the regular meeting at 6?
The bond is,
As long as
And
we
the
post
pre-meeting.
it, I think we
are you
can.
thinking it might be
I
too
can-
much?
I can go down and
Half an hour
change
seems
this
like a
to
long
say-
time.
5:30
Well,
to
pre-town
6,
meeting,
because it's
too.
warned for 6 o'clock.
Right.
Because we usually do it during
What's
the.
the pre-town meeting?
Correct.
Well, usually before town meeting, we run through like
We let people come in and get, it's an opportunity for people to come in if they, once they have their
their,
Town
report,
report.
town report, it gives them an opportunity to come in and discuss it with us,
Okay.
which we would rather have than showing up on Tuesday.
although a spirited discussion at town meeting is a good community event as well.
It is.
Alright.
I mean, I don't, it doesn't matter, I'm just saying, do we have so much?
Usually it ends up, nobody comes and it's a dry run and we
Right.
just talk through like, okay, so what do we think people are gonna say and do we have, do we remember everything that we've been through, especially the budget?
We have a meeting.
But so
We're not aware of anything that would require a meeting on the 20th.
So let's move our regular meeting from the 20th to the 27th and then we only have one meeting.
We start at 5:30 and
Start at 5:30 with the, and then we'll have cookies or something. There'll be intermission because my prediction is there won't be that many people asking
does it
questions
have
about
to
the
be a
fire
half
truck.
hour?
Could it be,
It doesn't have
let's
to
do
be.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
So you want to start?
5:40.
Do you
Let's
want,
do
do you want
5:30
to
to
start it
town
at
meeting.
6 o'clock? We'll just start with that
Yes.
and then work our way into the meeting.
Yes.
Okay, good, then I
That's
don't
what
have to change
yes.
anything. Perfect.
Okay.
So we'll just start at 6 o'clock, we'll do the bond, and then we'll work our way into your meeting.
Right.
But then we still have a special meeting, right? Because
On the
of-
27th, you're just, in the morning, you're just signing the warning.
No, that's
January
27th.
27th.
Oh, January 27th,
Yeah.
okay, sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry, Tuesday.
Yeah.
What's the amount tomorrow?
We have,
$275,000.
So informational at the beginning of this, so do you need to move that or anything, or just, no, we're just gonna move the regular, February 20th, regular meeting to February 27th at 6 o'clock. The beginning of the meeting will be informational on the bond. And
Yep.
we'll also have our pre-town meeting during that session.
DRB meets on Tuesdays, don't they?
For Yellow Barn, 19th.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, February. What? We're okay, I think, aren't we? Why, you're thinking we need
19th,
to-
never mind, we're on the 19th of February for the
Oh,
DRB
yeah.
presentation.
And I'll just keep that over here, you can sign them all at the same time.
Yep,
That's
sounds good.
perfect.
Thank
So you
you.
just need did you make a motion? I apologize.
For which?
To sign the warning for the bond.
No, they did not.
No, we did not.
So
We-
moved.
Second?
All in favor of signing the warning for the bond for the fire truck, please say aye.
Aye.
That's everybody, so motion carries. Thank
Thank you.
you for remembering that. We got so caught up in when we were gonna meet that we forgot the business of, the bond. Nice, thank you, Alberta. Next, we have to certify annually the mileage for Agency of Transportation. Just in the
I move-
interest of full disclosure, oh, go
I
ahead.
know that we approve or certify or whatever we gotta do.
Second.
No changes, correct?
Correct.
This is another, just scroll to the bottom and click accept.
It just,
Okay.
they send us a report of what we have reported for class 1, 2, and 3 state highway for a total mileage of 81.471. They send this to us every year and say, do you have any changes? If so, you have to fill out all these forms. There's no changes, so all you're doing is certifying, because this is how they determine our highway state aid.
Right.
So it reads down at the bottom here, select board members, please.
There's not individual lines for everybody, so just leave room as you go. Part 3.
We already did the vote on that? Sorry, I'm a little,
Aye.
we did?
I don't know.
Well,
No, we didn't
Danny
vote.
made a motion.
Yeah, okay, so, did we have a second on that?
What is second?
Wait a
I second it.
All in favor of signing the, annual, are you okay? Somebody hit him.
Yeah.
Somebody jumped our hand.
All
Yes, I'm okay.
all in favor, please
I'm not
whack
sure what
Danny
that
on
was
the back.
all about, to throw him
Yep.
with the hammer.
All right,
I'm not sure what that was all about.
all right, can you squish out an aye? All in favor, please say aye. Aye, all right, thank you. This is another one though, I mean, really, if you read it really closely, we aren't pretending that we have more mileage than we have, but, you know, we really have all this mileage.
Well, there's a map that goes with that.
There's a map that goes with it.
Yes, of
and-
course, yes.
Yeah,
I didn't read it closely, so.
yeah, I have before, and I think it's better just to sign.
And it also,
I'll do it.
it also lists legal trail,
Yep, it does.
which Buffalo Mountain Trail
And that does come up occasionally.
is a legal trail.
That's not on here?
For-
No,
oh, yeah,
no,
it
it
is,
came,
yeah.
there was a thing from AT&T that came
Said-
and
Oh,
said,
yeah,
being
okay.
The whole deal was it
being that
says-
we don't know what it is.
We don't know what it is. Well, we know what it is. It says right there, 1.62 miles.
Legal trail.
It's up at Eric's desk.
Where do I sign?
Signatures, Eric.
Signatures coming back. We're sharing a pen down here. Sean, do you have the,
There are little lines there.
item number 6 is that LVRT resolution that I wanted us to consider, adding to the town meeting warning. And it's a very short little thing, but it basically, the idea is that, so everyone knows that the Moyle Valley Rail Trail, which we are working on in our own small way in our town to build out some section of that. Well, really, there's a whole 93-mile trail, of which something like 17 miles are built, or
23, I think.
23
Something like that.
are built
Roughly a third.
in discontiguous sections. The trail, there's a similar length trail, like 100, ours is 93, there's like a 100-mile trail just across the border in Quebec, runs through multiple towns. Those towns report that they believe they have an annual economic impact total over the length of the trail of about 16 million a year Canadian, which would be about 12 million a year US. That's because it's long enough for a bike tour to come, and it's like a 3 or 4 day odyssey that involves lodging, involves food, involves bike rental, bike repair, all kinds of stuff, right, as you pass through these communities. The Moyle Valley Rail Trail could have a similar economic impact over our region, but probably not until it's complete. And so us doing our part here is great for our community, but it doesn't complete the trail. So,
Shall I read it?
please.
Okay. He wants
Oh.
a town this this following statement to be voted on, supported. We, the citizens of Hardwick, strongly support the completion of the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail. We urge the governor and legislature to jointly develop a plan that will ensure the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail is completed by 2025.
So the idea with this is that it's being passed to towns, communities along the trail, and the idea is really to kind of help bump awareness up to the state level that the communities really would like this to happen. And because right now, the projection is that to complete the trail is gonna cost about $15 million. The best source of federal match is, federal funding current that we know of is federal highway money, which requires 20% match, which means we need $3 million of state or local money to build this. I don't know about you, but I don't have that in my back pocket, and so we'd like the state to figure out a way to help us get that. Like they would do for other infrastructure projects.
I move that we put this on the town warning.
I'll second that.
More discussion now that I've done rambling on. All in favor of adding that resolution to our warning, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Do you know if any other towns are doing this?
Yeah, so it's been distributed. Cambridge is, sounds like they're almost certainly doing it. Who else was, there was?
She was supposed to, there was,
It's going
I wasn't at the
along.
meeting last night.
Right, so,
She was gonna do every town along the thing.
she is, and then they, I believe they're gonna send out a reminder. It went out to the select boards, but it needs to, I said it needs to go out again as a reminder, cause I almost forgot, to bring this to the board, so, hopefully there'll be a bunch of towns that adopt this. Oh geez, here's another one to sign. Look at that. All right, thank you all. Now, the item you've all been waiting for, item number 7, select board to review proposed proposed budget and finalize it, consider approving it in the final form. I know Casey has worked through a couple small changes, or small-ish. We got more signing.
Just, I got it coming on just a moment.
These are all heading back. These are heading back.
She was paid by the signature tonight.
There we go. All right. Here it is. We're up. We're live. Oh. Well, it's worse than what you sent us.
No, I sent it to you, or you probably didn't see it this afternoon.
I did not see it this afternoon.
Definitely adding a health insurance for sure as of July 1st. So that there was no, should we put it in there or not put it in there, it had to be put in there.
I think it's stunning how much impact one person's health insurance, and I don't say this in judgment, I'm just responding that the town budget for all of this, the health insurance has such an impact on the town budgets.
But to be fair, the reason we were allowed to have some liberties with our budget this year was because health insurance
Right, right.
changed and went down, so.
Right.
Or,
So
yeah,
we're really just back to where we are, and
Other
that's,
departments, it went down because of
right.
anticipated family plans being single, and now we're gonna add a thing. So
but it makes a big difference in either direction.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, it really
Right.
does.
but we're more back to where,
Yeah.
Yeah.
closer,
Yeah.
that's closer to what it was last year, so there's no,
No, last year our percentage increase was like 4.72, I believe.
No, but, for health
yeah, but I'm
insurance?
saying,
Oh, and
I'm
health
saying
insurance
because, you know,
costs
Yeah.
overall.
we've had a little bit of, we gained a little bit because health insurance went down because someone
Yeah.
changed the plan, but we're just back there now, that's all. It's not-
Well, but my
But
point
I
is
get
that
it.
it has a huge impact on the budget. The health insurance is a real economic factor.
It's big, and it also kind of drives home that even though it looks like a really big budget, It's actually not that big, because a change of like $10,000 shows up as a fairly large percentage, really. Well, I guess it shows up as a large percentage, but, yeah.
Yeah, it went from 2.68 to 3.14.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
big. Although, I'm good with 3.14 being the first 3 digits of pi, so I'm kind of
Right, there you go.
drawn to that
I
number.
like pie.
I like pi, there's a lot to be said for it, really.
What's the end of that number?
I only know 3.141592.
Infinity. It goes to infinity.
I know.
She knows, but those are all the digits I know.
So,
It's
back
not
to
very
our budget.
impressive.
Are we gonna cut something or are we gonna leave it?
Well, I have a favorite candidate for cutting that I'd like to talk about some more.
Go ahead.
And so I'm still concerned about adding a new administrative position.
Okay.
And I guess I feel like if we're gonna do that, I'd like to see a really good plan, because I feel like we're sort of going into the realm of going into business with taxpayer money. And I'd like to see, I know that that's gonna pay it back, and I guess I did some, so if we're gonna add 30,000 to the budget, I think it takes just over $1 million in adding to the grand list to pay for that. And that would be $1 million clear, because when you add to the grand list, you often add services or add things that you need to pay for. If you had a road, say, or something like that, that needs to get plowed or something. And just to put it in perspective, the Yellow Barn project is only gonna be worth 1.5 million when we're done with it. So they'd have to do, and also, it takes some time for the person to actually bring that money in, and then also the Yellow Barn project and probably other projects would have the I forget what they call it, the deferred tax thing, so it'd take,
It's over
So there'd be a whole bunch of years
several
where it's-
years before you hit that full tax.
right, where the taxes
Yeah.
actually come back.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, you're still spending the 30,000 a year.
Yep.
So that's adding up, so
Yeah.
it'd be a lot of years before it happened.
So, but look at it this way,
Yeah.
we're already doing it. Unfortunately, we added that duty to our town manager, so now he's doing 2 jobs for 1 salary. So he was gonna be looking for a job very soon, probably where he can do 1 job. And then we'll be hiring a town manager.
Well, but a lot of this is.
We're not talking, listen, we're not talking about this, we're not stop and go in Hardwick. I know you really want that to happen, but it ain't. And.
Well, no, they're putting words in my mouth, that's not true.
The job is, the duties are already there. The work is already being done in the office. It's a matter of having someone to do that other than the town manager. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? Because it's already happened, we're gonna do something with the Patton property, we're doing something with the Yellow Barn, so we need somebody to do those duties. So we're essentially trying to shift some duties off of the town manager's plate. We're not, I don't look at this as we're going into business, or we need to make sure that it's a dollar for dollar return on this position. It's not a dollar for return on any of the positions, administrative positions in the town.
Well, but this one's different, because the stated purpose of it is to increase tax revenue. So it's basically a business plan from my point of view. You don't call it profit, it's, I don't know what you call it, but revenue. So I feel like this, unlike any other position in town, like we have a lot of positions that clearly don't pay for themselves. We want our roads plowed, we gotta pay for it. It's not gonna pay.
But we have again, it goes back to, the duties are already being, the job duties are already being done. It's a matter of who they're being done by. And do we want that workload, an additional workload on our town manager? Or do we want the workload to have its own position, is the way I'm looking at it. It's already existed, so Sean's already working on it, and when he's doing that, he's not necessarily doing town manager, infrastructure, or, whatever town managers do. Not, you know what I'm saying? It's like, 5 years ago, we worked, well, maybe 8 years ago, certainly when John started, the town manager position didn't do any work.
And we are getting, I think beyond development projects, we also get kind of requests for help. Like I know Caledonia Spirits, even though they're still actively producing spirits in Hardwick, eventually plans to move everything to Montpelier. they have reached out to me, they've reached out to Sean, they've been like, can you help us find somebody to be in that building? Because, you know, because, I mean, basically, they don't wanna pay rent anymore when they're not using it. But at the same time, it would be good for the town if we have this infrastructure.
Right, we don't need them paying rent on a building that doesn't have anything
Yeah.
working there.
Right, and so, I mean, I think in both cases, I said, oh, I heard some rumor of this, and Sean followed up on some other rumor, and kinda nothing came of it, and we're like, next thing, let's keep,
Yeah.
I know I haven't done anything since.
Right. But a lot of it is just that a lot has gotten bitten off.
Yep,
And so it's sort of
Yep.
like, retroactive, we're over our heads now and we need to suddenly spend more money.
yeah,
So,
although we've
I
talked
think it's
about
part
this
of
for
it.
years, that wouldn't it be nice if we had somebody who could help coordinate and help us navigate development projects like the Yellow Barn, but also, wouldn't it be great if somebody could go talk to folks who own buildings downtown that have vacant storefronts and find out, maybe we could match them with a business that might be willing to move to Hardwick, and I know other towns do this. We don't. It's not necessarily the role of the town, you could argue. I think you could also argue that a vibrant downtown helps the town overall. You're right, I mean, it's a choice, it's not essential. And it is pointed toward, economic development.
Right. So, but I guess what I'm saying, in part, I mean, there's a philosophical part about how do we want to grow,
Yeah.
how much do we want to grow, how
Right.
fast do we want to grow, and all that. But there's the part that if we're going to business, we should have a firm plan about what we're doing and when the return will come back and what our return will be and all that before you spend money typically in business, you want to think about that stuff and have a clear like plan for it. And I feel like the plan here is kind of that the town manager's overloaded basically, and that you need some help.
Well, I don't know if
retroactively
it's
kind of,
overloaded necessarily, but I think we feel, at least those of us who've been on the board for a while, feel like that we have added responsibilities to that position that we don't see ourselves taking away right away. And so we think that I think, and I think Danny, I talked with Danny, and I don't know, but I think that I'd rather have the town manager managing the person who does a lot of the nitty gritty. And the select board manages the town manager, so we're still directing what happens. But instead of expecting the town manager to do as much hands-on with it, where it's like, that could be delegated and assigned to somebody else.
Right.
I also think it's possible, so this is a part-time position as funded, it's possible that people voted down at town meeting and don't want it.
Well, but they can't vote on, they have to
They
vote on the whole
cannot,
budget.
they
so
would have
that's
to.
pretty rough, yeah.
It's rough, but we haven't heard any, I haven't heard any feedback on it. I also think that it needs to be the right person. And I also think we can't, I mean, we could try to make a more clear plan, but until we know we're funding it, I mean, if we are putting this in the budget now, it doesn't end up in we don't hit that fiscal year until July 1. So if we put it in the budget now and we get through town meeting and the budget's approved and we say, all right, let's try to fill this position, let's try to define it, let's write a job description, let's recruit and see, I think it needs to be the right person, I think we'll try it. I think it's possible that we try it and a couple years down the road, we say,
It's a market,
that didn't work,
right?
take that out.
We wanted to do it. And if people vote the budget down because they need to have a reason,
Yeah,
people should come to the vote no without voicing the reason.
Yes.
And we hear that periodically,
right,
police department.
yeah,
I'm gonna vote no for the police department.
because
On the
of
budget
this.
because of the police department. I'm gonna vote no on the budget because of my road doesn't get plowed, or, you know,
Yeah.
people vote no for a reason, they don't just,
And it's true that they
Well,
can't,
so if
you,
we
they
heard loud and
cannot,
clear-
it's true that you cannot, people cannot amend, like, change
can't
the
touch-
line items, they're only voting on the, like, the total amount of the budget. They can amend that total amount, how that money gets spent is then up to the select board, it's true,
But they could-
but we're gonna listen.
that's right, that's my point, is if there's a groundswell of folks there that say this is a bad idea, then we will certainly take that advice, but I would imagine. But if no one says anything about it, then
Well, what if we took the same approach that we take with committees, that people, nobody's coming in here saying they want that position, and if they come in, we'll give them a committee position, and they can have at it. Like, that's how we approach other stuff, you know? And it seems like if people want this to happen, they could come in and volunteer.
so I make a motion that we have this budget our draft,
Second.
because we're gonna do
Final.
that right now, final draft.
That's,
Because-
and you have a second?
Second, yeah.
Okay, so, and we can have more discussion too.
We can.
But thank you for making the motion.
So,
Now we're ready.
it's entirely possible that we put this in there, we spend some time in the next few months putting together a job description and sort of a blue sky, what this would happen, and we don't find anybody. That's not very much money for the sort of person who does this sort of work. It's entirely possible, I mean, when we talked about this last time, I began to think of people I know, all of them retired, who have spent time doing development in other institutions, thinking maybe they would be willing to do this for a relatively small amount of money, sort of for the good of the community. That there are lots of permutations that this can go, but if it's not in the budget, there's nothing we can do. You know, we can have it there and not spend it because we can't find somebody, or the perfect person could come along and we don't have it in the budget that they could pick up this job. We're not required to spend it if it's in the budget.
Right, but, I mean, this is the time when you discuss whether you want to do it or not, though.
Yeah,
And
right.
so we're kind of making a decision how we're going to pursue it by voting
Yes,
on it, so I think
that's
that's.
correct.
So what, if we
Yeah.
take it out, what's the new budget? Can you tell us over that much?
The percentage is big,
Can I say something?
yeah.
We have, more than likely, within the next month, in this last 10-month period, we're gonna have brought in $4.2 million of grant in the last 11 months. Our operating budget for the town is less than that. We cannot absorb this with our existing staffing structure. We need to make a change. So that's it, that's the reality of it. I'm disappointed this discussion in some respects is turning into my evaluation, and that's really disappointing.
I
Because
don't
I'm
think it-
busting my butt on behalf of the community.
Oh, I don't think it is at all. I don't
Well,
think
what
anybody's-
what comes out
I'm
is
not saying that
Sean's
at all.
overloaded. Sean's overloaded,
Well,
which some people interpret to mean Sean's not performing.
Oh, no, 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 okay, okay, I want
I'm
to be very
just-
clear about that, Sean, I am in no way saying.
I'm just saying, that's
In no way
what might
saying-
come out, okay?
Well, I'm the one that said you're overloaded, and I think,
But
That's-
we're not saying it's you, we're just saying. it's
There's a
us.
lot of tasks on the table,
position.
so back to the point. We're gonna likely secure $4.2 million in grants. No other town in Northeast Kingdom has done that in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
We're making progress. We gotta have some support to keep it going. Just with what's in the pipeline is what I mean to say.
so I come back to, I like to think about it more as, I think the town manager can be more effective managing the person who does this, rather than getting dragged into the details, because you should be managing the departments, and this should be one of those kind of things, and not because I mean, the truth of the matter is that all these things take a lot of time. And, I mean, that's why we're looking to NVDA to do some of the administration, and, because it just takes time, and Sean's absolutely right, we brought in a ton of grant money in the last 10 months, it's incredible.
And it's very specialized knowledge. There's a whole vocabulary goes with it. There's lots of ins and outs that you have to know. to do it efficiently and properly, and
And, well, Sean's
That's-
there, but the thing is that I
And he's a quick
want
study.
to manage the person who's doing it
Yep.
and not have to do it. Kinda like I don't want the town manager in a plow truck. So,
Okay, well, I can appreciate that, especially the grant, special knowledge and stuff.
and also just, you know, to your point about when does it come, when does that money, when do we see the return? I do think, I mean, I don't remember the schedule exactly, but I think it's a 7-year ramp up on, it can't be exactly payment in lieu of taxes, but whatever it is that we get from the yellow
Payment
barn.
in lieu of payment and taxes.
The payment in lieu of pilot, by the time we hit year 7, should, if I recall correctly, I think it's like 35.
it's the full taxable value.
Yeah, but I think it ends up being more than that figure. You're right, it's, that's 7 years out until we hit that, so in the meantime, we carry that, but if we don't, I mean, if we, I think that's, it's making an investment for the future.
I would say pump. People don't prime their pumps anymore.
Well, some people do.
Do they?
Yeah. Some pumps are not self-priming.
It's an old fashioned term.
So, Danny asked what it looked like with it out. It did change it changes the percentage 2.25 pretty dramatically because our increase is something like 80,000 with it in, so it's like 50,000 with it out, right? Roughly, in rough numbers.
That's like 1.25% increase in the budget, is that?
No, it's,
expenditures?
75, like 84 basis points, 0.84.
It's 0.84% increase in the budget.
Yeah.
I do have just a suggestion, if it is left in there, the position, I might recommend we call it community development position as opposed to economic development, and it gets to Eric's point about,
With
you know,
downtown.
yeah, there's businesses asking for things, you know, it seems to me it would be maybe a little bit or better descriptor,
Yeah.
again, assuming it is agreed it stays in.
Yeah, it's not 84, it's 80.89.
And I had asked Alberta in an email that I didn't copy everyone on about what we're thinking about for our grand list for next year, just wondering about, like, is this being spread across the same grand list, a bigger or smaller? And the response was we expected to grow a little bit, right?
Yes, yep, so just very basically, I kind of talked to Matt, the assessor's company, and Kristen and I did a quick run through of the permits that she issued for this past year, and we're hoping, we're pretty confident in around at least $800,000 in an increase in the grand list, so.
And what is that in terms of percentages?
Sorry, I wasn't prepared to answer.
Well, I can figure it for you,
Yeah,
right?
sorry.
It's not a very big percentage, but it's a movement in the right
In the right
direction.
direction.
And it's not always.
Well, our tax rate's just under 3%, right? So if my math is right, then it'd be, how does that work?
Oh, grand list right there,
Yes.
185
Minus
million.
these 2 zeros.
So it'd
But
be
that has
like,
3 zeros after it.
So, okay.
The grand list, right, doesn't it?
Did you?
Isn't that
did you put
thousands,
it all
or
the
am
way
I
out to
wrong?
there?
that's 185 million, isn't it?
Minus those
Yeah.
2 zeros.
So it's 0.5%.
0.5%.
Yeah.
So this is increasing a little bit more than the grand list might go up.
But, right, but then there are other increases too, so the grand list isn't
Yes.
going up the same as taxes.
But
Or
at least the
as our
grand
budget.
list isn't going down.
Right.
We're pretty confident we're not, it's not going down, so that's a nice thing.
What is the 28,000 equal to in the tax rate for an individual, 100,000?
So,
Because it's like,
yeah,
is it less than $1?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So.
John Jewett used to say that a cent on the tax rate gets you 16,000.
Well, now I think we're up to closer to 18, because it's.
Look at us go.
Because it's
So it's 18,000 for a cent, so.
Okay, on our CLA, right?
So I mean, you know,
So it's less than.
that's the other way
2
to
cents in
look
tax
at
rate.
it, you know, I'll throw in a couple pennies to get some money in, you know, in this town that's gonna increase our grand list.
Right.
Hopefully.
That's the other way I look at it,
What
you
we
know.
would be looking
It's
for.
like the article in the Gazette about Greensboro's budget and the police department being the highest driver, you know, of the budget. It was $24,000. It's costing each person a couple more cents a year. So, you know, you look at it in those.
The reality is not.
Right. So, you know, you look at it in those terms as bigger, and it's really, the benefit is so much more than what the cost is, really.
Can't be right. So, wait, so if so it's $16,000 is a penny, that's what you're saying? $18,000 is a penny?
Like $18,000 is a penny. Can you pull that
Yeah, that
back
can't
up?
be right, because if you pay 3,000,
So what's, the question is essentially what's 1% of 185 million, right?
right.
$18,585, yeah.
That's a lot of pennies. That gets added up to all that.
So just as a point of reference,
doesn't
not
seem
that
right.
it's
I have to do the math at
necessarily
home.
germane, but somebody pointed me to South Burlington, which recently did a pennies for paths thing, and they voted to add a penny on top of their tax rate for town paths. And I was like, that's an interesting idea, but I was thinking, that doesn't generate very much money. So I emailed with them and I asked, cause here, I'm like, oh, so that's like 16,000 or it's 18,500 as we just learned. Apparently in South Burlington, that's $300,000. I'm like, oh, I see.
Champlain Valley, baby.
It's bigger than ours.
Champlain Valley.
I'm like, yeah, I see. It's different. So anyway,
We talked you into it? You can
I'm
vote.
not sold, but
You can vote.
I've said all I have to say. Let's put
Okay.
it that way.
So we have a motion to second.
all
We'll be
right,
discussing it more, I'm sure.
yes. So all in favor of rolling it, the motion is that we're gonna roll with this, the select board to approve total budget of $3,465,120, which is an increase of 3.14% as presented. Please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? We have an abstention.
I'm voting against it.
You voted no, you voted
There
no,
you go.
you're just thinking.
So just like
Okay.
I say about
There
the
we go.
seats, now rally the troops and fill the gym, and I'll change my mind.
Yeah, okay.
You know, if there's 30
All right.
people in the gym that say that
Thank
we
you.
don't want it,
So,
I would really deep consider it.
Okay.
Not 30 relatives. 30 general population.
That's
next is select board
Well,
reports.
I've got some time to think about it, so maybe I'll come around.
No report?
No. I don't
No,
have anything.
I went to a LVRT meeting last night and we voted on a resolution tonight, so there we go.
Well attended?
It was pretty well attended, actually.
Good.
There were a couple extra new faces
Perfect.
who came, and there was generally, I would say, more consensus than sometimes, which may have been to do with.
Getting rid of me?
I was gonna say that. No, but it was like a feeling of, let's get together and get this thing built however that needs to happen.
There you go, that's what we're shooting for.
So, yeah, so look for more on that front. I'm not sure in what form, but we may maybe reaching out to people saying, contact your legislators or, that kind of thing. We may have fundraisers, so anyway. That's it. New business? Old business? We have I think what's gonna be a short executive session that we need to have just for the select board to get up to speed on, union contracts that Sean's been working on. So could we have a motion to go into executive session for that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Hello.
Aye. Motion carries, thank you. All right,
Sorry, Doug.
thanks, everybody.
Yeah, if you're